This is The Great Expanse by John Bat 426 here on YouTube. This is the recap with no cap, even though I have a cap on. And you've clicked on a thumbnail. You know that this is about Wonder Man, Episode 4, Doorman. I want to give a disclaimer. If you have family, friends, or associates, or your neighbor's family member worked on this particular episode, you might not want to watch this video. This video offended me as somebody that can see, as somebody that likes to watch television, as somebody that enjoys the visual medium for entertainment. This episode, Doorman, was an offense. This was an atrocity. One of my buddies on YouTube, who I know personally or whatever, said that this is the worst episode of sitcom television he's ever seen. He put it lightly. This is hands down the bottom of the barrel when it comes to television, entertainment, MCU, Disney Plus. If you have sight, this was the worst thing to see on television. Easily. Now, initially, I said that I started the series a little optimistic, a little bit, because I watched the first episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms might as well be peak Game of Thrones compared to this Doorman. Trash. 3 times, yes. The episode opens up in black and white for some reason. I don't know why. It's in black and white. So I'm thinking, maybe this is a flashback or something. Or maybe this is a sitcom. Now, I had the idea that the actor who was the focal piece of this black and white segment, called Damar Doorman Davis, which Simon alluded to in the previous episode, kind of as a passing dialogue. It's like, all right, because of Doorman Davis, you know, Yaya and his vocalizations. So he goes to throw something in the dumpster. Doorman Damar Davis, or Damar Doorman. It doesn't even matter. I can think of 3 Ds that this episode embodies, but I can't because I don't curse on this platform. So he's throwing something in the trash in the dumpster. There's like this venom-like symbiote ooze leaking out of the bottom of the dumpster, and it's forming like this, like a crevice, like a hole. So what does Damar do? He sticks his hand in this stuff. Something that no black person would ever do. Yes, I'm making it a color issue. No black person would ever put their hand, without anything protecting it, into this goop. But that's neither here nor there, okay? So he does it. He discovers that he has the ability to become a conduit of, he's like a dimensional portal himself, okay? So I don't remember if he picked up his dog and held him close to his chest and the dog teleported downstairs into an apartment. So then there's this issue of when he goes downstairs because he hears the dog barking. The dog's name was Chance. And he just goes into the apartment. The lady has, 2 towels on, one over her head, one covering her breasts and her body because she just got out the shower. He's like, oh, come on, Chance. So he has the ability to teleport things. So this fat dude, who I didn't know was Josh Gad, and now that I know who Josh Gad is, I don't know who Josh Gad is. I thought he was the heavy set actor from Curb Your Enthusiasm, who was the trans man daughter of Marty Funkhauser from Curb Your Enthusiasm, played by the late Bob Einstein, rest in peace. So it turns out to be Josh Gad, who's famous for some reason. And so he goes into this club, and there's an incident where my mind is trying to protect my higher brain functions by helping me to forget that I watched this episode. So I'm gonna get out what I can, and I'll allow my brain to protect my higher brain functions. So if I don't remember it, good for me. So I think unfortunately I'm remembering. There was like an incident inside of this club, and the door was locked conveniently. Somehow. So nobody could get out. So Damar basically phases through the door, and then he tells everybody, go through me. because he knows that he's a living portal or whatever. So Josh Gad, who's a heavyset actor, says, all right, I'll do it. So he passes through DeMar Davis. Everyone is saved from the club because they all pass through him because he's a living portal. So Josh Gad approaches him and says, hey, would you like to be something? I don't remember. Again, I'm not going to argue with trying to protect my higher brain function. So he winds up working with Josh Gad. Josh Gad kind of puts him on. He gets in touch with this dude from the Hanover agency who's like an agent of some kind. So he gets involved with commercials. He becomes known as the doorman, and ding dong is his catchphrase. Mind you, this is all in black and white. But you can tell from the resolution that it's not a period piece. Like, this is something that's contemporary. So the whole time I'm like, why is this in black and white? And I'm thinking that since Yahya Abdul-Mateen's character, Simon Williams, mentioned that he had issues because of Doorman Davis, I'm thinking, okay, maybe Doorman Davis got this acting role that Simon wanted. Because they're kind of interchangeable. Like, if you don't know what they look like specifically, you can say, oh yeah, that's him. Oh no, that's him. They're both tall, dark-skinned guys with hair and a goatee. Kind of interchangeable. So I'm thinking, so this is probably the role, and right now Simon is probably watching the sitcom that he was supposed to be in. That's what I'm thinking. That's my rationale for why it's in black and white, because it doesn't make any sense. So over the course, he becomes famous because he has this superpower that, he's a living portal. Then people start to give him the online treatment. They say, oh God, how much, is his 15 minutes up? That's one of the quotes on like social media. So he's starting to feel some kind of way. His agent from the Hanover agency said that they were going to get somebody else to do this X-Palax, I think it was Michael Strahan, which I thought was kind of funny, to be the figurehead of these commercials, which Doorman previously was, but people are getting tired of his shtick of phasing through and whatever. He's like, we're going to find something, just be patient. So Josh Gad did this movie called Cash Grab. So he comes back to Doorman and says, let's do Cash Grab 2. So Doorman does his own stunts because, he has a superpower. So I don't know if he ate something or if it's the X-Palax that he was advertising just went wrong. And so they're throwing things through him on set, and the things are literally like landing on a crash pad in the next frame on the set. So when Josh Gad passes through him, Josh Gad doesn't land on the crash pad. He like disappears from existence. So now Mario Lopez from Saved by the Bell, I think, or one of those shows. Again, higher brain functions being protected. He says that, where's Josh Gad? He's disappeared. And Doorman Davis becomes like yesterday's news because nobody really likes him anymore because of his shtick, and Josh Gad disappeared because of him. He was advertising something, Doorman Davis was advertising something called a potato bag, and people were being injured because of the steam when they would open this bag. So he has lawsuits going too. So eventually, Mario Lopez is saying they had this waiver, Hollywood has this waiver called the Doorman waiver. So you have to announce if you have superpowers. Now remember, when Simon was going to audition for Wonder Man, in the first episode called Matinee, the guy said, do you have superpowers? Sign the Doorman clause. It's because of this. That's what this entire episode was about. The origin of the Doorman waiver clause. Again, I thought it was a montage. I'm like, they should have just condensed this to 5 minutes and then get on with the story. But the whole episode is about Doorman and Ding Dong. So at the end, I said, wait a minute, this was not a reenactment. They basically told the actual story. So no, this was not a reenactment from an actor doing this. They really thought we, the audience, wanted to see this garbage and see the origin of the Doorman clause. Yahya Abdul-Mateen, the lead in this series, has about 2 minutes of screen time where he watches the show that Mario Lopez is hosting. And most of his screen time is him walking out of the soundstage with like nurse scrubs on to a doorway. That's the most time the lead of the series has. The series alone already has not been lauded. It's already doesn't have the full support of the Disney Plus MCU. That's why it's released in a binge bundle. You can watch the whole thing at once instead of being released episodically on a weekly basis. So Disney already isn't behind this. Who wrote this episode? Who greenlit this garbage? Garbage. So as I said, as I alluded to earlier, if you have a friend involved with this episode, you might not want to watch this video because I have absolutely nothing good to say about this episode. The only thing that was good is when they said that Michael Strahan was going to be his replacement. That was the only thing that made me even chuckle. There's no Sir Ben Kingsley in this episode, who is the lifeblood of the series. And we only see Yaya for about 2 minutes. And I might be pushing it by saying 2 minutes. This is one of the few times where I'm going to give this grade. For a trailer, TV show, animated series, movie. I'm trying to remember what the sign language is, because I like to do. This gets an F. Doorman, considering not even watching the rest of the series. That's how abysmal this episode was. It insulted the audience. All the time you spent filming, I think his name is Bryce Bowers. I'm not even mad at the actors. I'm not mad at Josh Gad. I'm not mad at Mario Lopez or anybody else that acted in this, because they had a job. They did what they were supposed to do. Whoever wrote this filth, this camel dung, this horse dropping, this hippo excrement, you should be fired. You should be. Because all the money you spent on this episode, you could have had go towards the actual story of Wonder Man. Abysmal. 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 Again. For Wonder Man, episode 4, Doorman. Trash. Garbage, garbage, garbage.